I'm playing around with Restream. I just want to see how it works. I've never used this before, so I'm not even sure if it's gonna work for what I'm doing right now. So just give me a second. Okay, so my YouTube people are able to see me. I'm trying to stream to YouTube and Twitch just because. Just get oh, hold on. Oh, sorry, I was on mute, huh? How do I get the chat to show up? As you can tell, I don't know what I'm doing. But right now, it doesn't seem like it's actually having. You guys can hear me? Can y'all hear me? Oh, cool. Thanks. Okay, so someone asked, why do you want to use Restream for? What's preventing you from only using OBS? It is a bandwidth problem. I mean, are you able to stream to multiple places with OBS? I don't think you are, right? I think you actually have to, like, use Restream that like forwards your stuff. Okay, I guess you can host your own, like, RTMP server to do that stuff. I wanted to use the easiest thing forward. Like, the easiest thing just to try it out. Because I don't even know if I would care about Twitch at all. Probably. I don't know. It depends on if I actually make progress on this. Okay, well, I can't get the chat for. I have to go. Let's see. Restream chat from platforms not showing up. No, I'll figure this out on my own time. You guys came here to see me code, so let's just start coding some stuff. And I'll move that over there. I don't know if I need to keep this open. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I wanted to try to build like a little newsletter thing. Like there's MailChimp and there's a bunch of other existing services where basically they give you a link. People will subscribe to your link. What am I trying to say? Anyway, that's what we're gonna try to build. So let's just go ahead and go to create T3 app. I don't think I'm gonna use Prisma. I'm not gonna use like MySQL. I'm actually gonna try to use DynamoDB. Because all I need to do is just store an email so that people can subscribe and unsubscribe from a newsletter, and then also I plan to use SES to send out emails. So we'll see. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new repo. And I did create a new GitHub account. Just like, I feel like I'm blending too much of my personal stuff with like my YouTube channel. I just want to like get everything consolidated into one thing. It just makes it easier for me to manage. So yeah, let me also pull out the chat from YouTube. All right. Go ahead and pin that so you guys can see the chat, or I can see the chat. So yeah, create 3.3 app. I was trying to make a repo, so let's just make a new repository. It'll be called Newsletter Manager. What emails or newsletters am I going to send to you all? Probably none. Let's be honest with ourselves. Like, I'm probably never actually going to do anything with this. But I think it'd be a cool project to just try to build out. And I do have some other projects I'm trying to also focus on, like that game that I've been kind of making videos on, and then also the StarCraft 2 build order. I do plan to also work on those, so I don't want to get too sidetracked with other stuff. But I made the repo. Let's just go ahead and clone it. Git clone. Let's make sure I'm on the right directory. I also have new settings. Like I made a new Mac profile just to kind of like get everything related to my channel just on its own little profile, which means that my VS Code extensions are all gone. So I'm trying out new themes. There's a really cool theme called Bearded. Bearded theme. So you can go here. You can like, they give you a lot of different themes you can try out. But I'm going to stick with the blue for right now. They also have icons too, so we'll see those. All right, so we cloned that repo. Newsletter Manager. Let's just go ahead and open it up. And we're going to try to create a T3 app. And we're not going to install it with Prisma. Let's go ahead and run this. And let's see what it asks us to do. I'll go ahead and say yes. Yeah, this is the bearded theme. What will this be called? I don't know. I'll just call it that. TypeScript. We don't want Prisma, but we want TRPC. And next auth. Go ahead and blow everything away. Just overwrite existing files. Someone asked, can I make a tutorial about Supabase? I don't use Firebase and I don't use Supabase, so I don't really have anything I can teach you all. Go back to the chat though. Mantra Beats. This is the first time he catches me live and he's at work. You always just take off of work. What's the big deal? Take an hour off of work and watch your favorite YouTuber stream, right? What is an email newsletter manager? So like a lot of other YouTubers have newsletters so that their subscribers can like register their email to get updates and various things that happen. Like one thing I plan to do is just as I release videos, maybe just send out like an email every week saying that these are the things I've made videos on, just so that it kind of, it's a marketing strategy. Let's be honest. I'm talking business here. So I'm trying to get people to remind people that my channel exists and they come back and watch my videos. So that's the goal. By the way, does my mic sound okay? Like I'm on a different setting, so I don't know if my equalizer is set up the same as it was, but hopefully it sounds okay. What's up? Greetings from Peru. Make it a crypto product. Everything ends up becoming a crypto product, huh? What's up? Abdulrahman. I always pronounce it right. Abdulrahman. Abudi. Welcome, Abudi. Thanks for joining in. Do I plan to do something with Svelte? I do. Honestly, I like Svelte. I played around with Svelte some, and I really liked using it. I just never really. My viewer base is all React, and I work React full time. So like, I don't want to get out of my comfort zone, especially if like half my viewers don't care about Svelte. But I do like Svelte. I think it's a really nice, concise language to start coding in and making like little web applications in. Let's just make sure if I can run the app. Okay, got the app running. What I'm also going to do is let's just go ahead and commit. I'll just say like initial commit. Go ahead and push that to main. And there we have it. So this is going to be public depending on how much progress I make on this. So like if you all ever wanted to check out the code, I do plan to integrate it with Dynamo and stuff. This will be the link for it. What's up, DevOps Directive? For all those who are watching, DevOps Directive makes a lot of videos on like DevOps related content. Check him out. Let me just go to his YouTube channel real quick. So if you ever want to get into like Kubernetes, Docker, I think he did videos on Terraform. I use Terraform at work. A lot of stuff in DevOps is really cool and really complex to understand. Like, how do you actually get your stuff deployed and managed and, monitored properly? So check out his channel. I'll put the link to his channel. And he has a Discord too. I've joined his Discord a couple times and like asked him for tips and tricks. So I'll go ahead and put a link there. Yeah, I don't know. I like the name Web Dev Junkie, but I think junkie has a negative connotation. People, obviously junkie is not a nice word, but I also want to get my name in my channel so that people actually refer to me by my name and not just what's up junkie. Like people join my Discord and they actually refer to me as junkie, which is fine, but I think it's good to market yourself, and getting your real name on your channel is probably a step in the right direction. Okay, so we got you got a T3 stack set up. What do we want to do? So the first thing that we need to do is users need to be able to subscribe to the newsletter, right? So they have to be able to enter in an email and click like a submit button. So since we're using Next, let's check out pages directory. And let's go to this index file. And I'm assuming the layout for the T3 stack stuff changes. Like every time I create a new T3 app, like the layout's completely different. Like all the files and directories are renamed and different. But usually it just works the same as it did before. So there's a little bit of a refresher every time I do this. Make sure the app's running because I think I closed it when I did the commit. And yeah. All right, so first thing, let's just go ahead and delete like all this stuff. What is my zoom at? I want to make sure I'm zoomed to. Okay. Delete all that stuff. And then what we're going to do is we need to create a form where people can enter in the email, right? So I'm going to say input. I'll say label. And I'll put email. And this will be an ID for email. And let's add a button called subscribe. And yeah, let's just go ahead and make sure, do we have that on the page? Looks like we do. I'm gonna get rid of this background. I don't really like the background with this little actually, where's that styled? I guess it's styled in, what CSS file has that? Is that here? Global CSS? I don't see any background purple. Am I crazy? Where's the styling for this? I guess what I could also do is just command click on the background. Coming from, oh, it's on Tailwind. Duh. I forgot I'm using Tailwind. I've been working with Vue on another project where like the styling is actually written like normal CSS and it's inside the component. And then I'm going back to React now where all your styling is like, or sorry, I'm going back to Tailwind where obviously your styling is put on the component itself. So the colors, probably this whole thing needs to go away. There we have it. Now we could bring in React form hooks, but I might just keep it simple for right now. And then also, I think there's like a Tailwind library that I've been using to just get some nice looking inputs. We could try Daisy UI again. It kind of goes against the grain of Tailwind, or we can try to do whatever that library was that I was using on my other project that I already forgot. Tailwind component library. Flowbyte, Daisy UI. Which one should we use? I'm gonna let my chat choose. What should we use? Tailwind? Should we use? Should we use Daisy UI? Should we use Flowbyte? Should we just try to find some free Tailwind components? Is there anything else out there that we could use? Flowbyte, Daisy, Flowbyte, Flowbyte, Daisy. We got 2 versus 3. Uh-oh, we got 3 to 3. You should use Bootstrap. This guy. We got a hipster in the chat. Bootstrap's cool though. I always use Bootstrap, but now I switched over to like using other things. A lot of people are saying Daisy. I think Daisy's one. Just go ahead and grab it. I know I made a channel how I was saying like I'm getting rid of Daisy, but I think I was a little bit too harsh on it. It's fine. Like I think the accessibility could easily be fixed just by bringing in like another component library. So install Daisy UI. Let's go ahead and see the components and let's see how to install this because I do believe I have to like set it up. So let's look at the Tailwind config. This thing has to be a plugins, which would be actually, I'll just delete that one. And what else do we have to do? Oh, let's just see if there's a form. Do they have forms here? Do they have buttons? They have inputs? File inputs? Text inputs? And let's just go ahead and look at how they do this with JSX. They do it like this. Going back here, let's just go to the input, put that on, and go back to our app. And where is our... I feel like I did not set something up correctly. Because input W. Let me try to restart the server real quick. You know what? Sometimes I just read through the docs. Like I skip through the docs. I don't even read. I skip through them. Like it's a race or something. But let's go back and make sure I didn't mess anything up. Because they npm install Daisy UI. I did that. Set up the plugins. I did that. I mean, let's just make sure a button shows up. I'm just going to go back to here. Go ahead and put a button. The heck was that? Okay, so the button works. I think Daisy UI is working fine. Put that on this button here. I'll delete that. But the input and the label, I mean, the label I should probably put email. And where's the input? Why is the input like not... Is it because the background's the same color as the border? That's probably what it is. So how do we change that? I'll say BG white. Okay, that was the issue. The button probably has like a dark mode, so I probably actually need to like figure out a better instead of BG white for blinding you all. Let's say BG, is it gray? Oh, it's probably gray beforehand. Okay, I'm missing my Tailwind extension. Let's just add that in. That's one thing I'm missing. Like I said, it's a new Visual Studios profile, so I got to reinstall a lot of stuff. Make sure that's installed so that I can say BG. And I think it's like gray 600. There we go. Let's see how dark we can get the background before the input's just like gone. Do 700. All right, let's see. Is anyone in chat saying stuff? Well, I use Flowbyte on another project as well. Ant design. I've seen that once before. It's pretty nice. Yeah, I'm basically using dark mode. I've come to my senses. I used to hate dark mode, but I'm just using dark mode now. Except for the button, like this button's just too dark. I think I need to give it primary. How do you make it primary? Button primary. I mean, this feels really like a lot like Bootstrap. That's one reason I do like Daisy UI, but people complain that it's like going against what Tailwind's supposed to be used for. But honestly, who cares? So I'm gonna go ahead and put a break between these two. Or we could even like do some type of flex column so that the email's on top. In fact, let's just go to Daisy and see if they have labels. Maybe. They have file inputs. I don't think they have examples of labels here. Ooh, I can give it an accent color. What is that? Let's do input bordered, input info. That looks nice. Let's try that. Input bordered, input info. Cool. And on the form itself, let's just give this like a flex and a flex column so that they're all like on the same thing. And then also some gap. Just say gap of 4. And then probably above that, like, let's just do an H1 that says web dev Cody newsletter. I could actually type letter, not news less. And then I'll put a paragraph here and it says, enter your email below to receive updates and other false promises in the future. The styling looks pretty awful though. So for the H1, I wonder if I mean Daisy's just like a component library, right? So I'm not going to give you styling for the actual like H1s and stuff. So I guess that's up to the developers, like myself, to make this the way I want it to be. And I might actually put this whole thing here in a flex column as well, so that there's some space in between these things. Enter your email below to receive updates. Various news. I don't know. I'm so bad at type. I'll do this off stream. This looks bad though, right? Should I make this full width? This whole thing could be W full. Thanks. Anyway, so now you guys know that I'm terrible at design. Let's actually add some functionality because that's like the cool part of programming in my opinion, not the design part. I would have been a designer if I wanted to do more design stuff. But the idea is like you type in your email and I need to track that somewhere. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is integrate this with my TRPC router probably. So I'm on the network tab. I'm going to show you how we can do that. Let's go ahead and add an onSubmit listener to this, and I will go ahead and call a function handle, I guess handle subscribe. And I'll make that a function. Let's just make it a function here. And we are going to just, right now, like just console log something. I want to make sure this thing actually works. If I click it, do I get a console log? Also, make sure e.prevent default. Okay, print it out G. That's good. We should probably type this, which I always forget what the type is. Like form event. That seems right, right? Go to my chat real quick. Use the default Tailwind components. Do you not use GitHub Sync for VS Code? Is that, you talking about this thing over here? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I just like feeling like a boss and using the terminal down here, but usually I'll just, if I just want to do a quick add commit push, I'll just do it up here. But I do use the diff. Like the diff I always use in VS Code, but the actual like switching branches and stuff, I kind of like doing it in the terminal for some reason. I think old habits just die hard. But yeah. Yeah, I'm doing this in React. This is in React right now. Maybe they meant the settings sync. What do you mean by that? Settings sync. Oh, no, I don't use the settings syncs. Maybe I should, but I feel like at some point I just start getting too many extensions and VS Code just starts like slowing down. And I usually like just clearing my entire OS and like clearing everything and starting from scratch every couple of like 6 months to a year, just so I have a clean slate of get rid of all the stuff that I'd never actually use. It's probably a dumb approach, let's be honest. So we need to be able to send this data to a router endpoint, right? So if you guys aren't familiar with TRPC, it's really not that difficult. Well, setting up's a little difficult. That's why I use the T3 stack, because it just makes life a little bit easier. But if you wanted to make a new endpoint, you basically have to create something called routers. And what we're storing is emails. So I'm going to go ahead and make like a subscription router. So I'll say subscription router. And we're going to go ahead and like repurpose this example thing. And I'm going to rename this to subscription router. And we will go ahead and rename that. Make sure this isn't crashing. And what we want to do is like, we want to create a mutation. So I'm going to go ahead and say like subscribe, which will be the name of the endpoint in a sense we're going to do a request to. And then we are going to require, by using this input factory, I guess, chaining method, to basically require an email. There we go. So let's add a to-do so we're all on the same page of like what we're trying to do. And I know sometimes my head hides some code, but really like usually nothing important that's being hidden. All right, so we want to save this to DynamoDB. This is our goal. That's what we're trying to do right now. So let's try to figure out how to do that, because I've done it before, but obviously I always forget what I've done in the past. And from the front end, we need to basically pull in that subscribe method. So I'm going to say subscribe. And instead of doing API hello, we're going to use our TypeScript powers and say API.subscription.subscribe. Now this was a mutation, I believe. So I need to change this to a mutation. And we're going to go back and we're going to say use mutation, like so. And when you do that, it gives you a method here that you can actually like, or this is an object that has things on it. And in our case, when they actually hit that subscribe form submit button, we want to go ahead and call mutate and pass it the required field, which would be email. But right now we don't have access to the email. I mean, we could do it the uncontrolled way where I believe E would have like, this would actually have the data on it. I don't remember how to do it, honestly. I always use state when I'm keeping track of like fields. So I might just do that. So I'll just say like form and set form equals use state. We're going to go ahead and just put email equal to an empty thing like that. One thing you'll notice in coding is there's like 101 ways to do the same thing. Everyone has their own opinion and preference on the best way to do stuff, but honestly, just do what works for you and just ignore the noise of everyone telling you the proper way to do stuff, because I just don't think there is a proper way. There's a way that reduces less code. I mean, results in less code. Okay, that's annoying. Let me go ahead and say E, and then this will be E.target.value. Cool. So as I'm changing the email, I'm updating state to set the form email to what they typed in. Makes sense. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure I use that. So I'll say form.email. Now, the reason I did a form in state instead of just like saving the email is that, let's say I wanted to in the future add in like a name or whatever else I could ask the user for. It would just result in me just having to like add in something here. Honestly, if this was a bigger application, I'd probably use like the React form hooks thing. But why is this red? Let's figure this out. Property subscribe doesn't exist on type, event, target, and element. This is because I have some code up here that should probably be deleted. Yeah, so at this point, we should be able to submit the form. It should do a request to that TRPC router endpoint. This thing, if we just go ahead and test it out, we should get back. I'll just go ahead and print something out. Print out GG down here, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to my code. I'll check chat in 2 seconds. Type in an email, click subscribe, and we get back GG in the back end. So everything is connected. I think we're good. Let's check out chat real quick. What are TRPC? So TRPC is a library you can use to basically make communicating with your backend type safe. With that, what I just said might be over your head as well. But like, you know how typically you do like HTTP requests from your front end to like get, put, patch, delete, and you don't know if like you're doing something wrong. So the benefit of TRPC is like your type definitions are actually shared between your front end and your back end if you're using TypeScript with your entire stack. So if in the future I get a business requirement that says like this also needs to take a name. So in the back end, like name is required now. It's a required string. If I go back to my front end yelling at me. It's all red because now my front end knows that I'm not calling my back end with the correct data, and that's what TRPC is really useful for. It warns you and tells you right off the bat if you're sending the wrong stuff. Because I don't know how many times you guys have been working on an app, you build out something and you forget to send over a single field, and you're not sure why, like the backend's not doing what it's supposed to do, and you go to the backend, you add console logs, you try to figure out what's missing, you're like, oh, well, it's because I didn't send in this field. Well, now you get that type safety from your front and your back end fully complete, and it tells you right off the bat if you forget to type in that name, which was required. That's the overview. We don't actually want name here, though, so I'm going to delete that. Yeah, let's see if there's any more things. Right now, I'm streaming to Twitch and my YouTube. Twitch... Honestly, YouTube is my main focus. Twitch was like a side thing just to try to get more people to know about my YouTube channel. I don't know if a lot of people on Twitch watch YouTube or vice versa. I'm not too big into Twitch, I'll be honest with you all. Where was I though? Hey Cody, how's it going? Are you building a content curation platform? I'm just building a way to accept people's emails, honestly. Because right now I'm using MailChimp. You probably have seen on my YouTube channel, if you go to like my, typically my descriptions, the first thing is a newsletter, which you can sign up for, and I don't send you anything. I've never sent anything on my newsletter, but I hear it's a good thing to do so that if you ever were to make tutorials or courses in the future, you can email them and say, hey, I'm launching a tutorial or course. You can pre-register for it here, or you can go and buy it here. It's a way for me to basically send you all ads, okay? Let's just be honest. Let's just cut to the chase. Yeah, TRPC uses Zod. There's Zod validation right here, I believe. Or actually not right there. On this one, there's Zod validation. Have you tried the Apter? I've tried it like once. I'm just not big into... Jacob asked, have I tried the Apter? So for those who don't know, Next 13 released like a new beta version of kind of building out your project with an app directory. I think it's cool to learn about, but I don't care about prototype stuff. I don't care about beta stuff. I want to use stuff that's like production ready. So until the app directory is production ready. I just don't have a need or a drive to learn it. I'll learn it when they say it's prod ready. Let's see. Tailwind elements? No, I don't use Tailwind at work. Let's see. I haven't. Kate says I haven't invested much time learning TypeScript. Does it matter much, or is it subjective to the programmer? You don't have to learn TypeScript, but it does help, in my opinion, catch bugs faster. There's been times where I wasted almost like a full hour because I typed something incorrectly. Like I left off an S when it was like emails instead of email. And I spent an hour like trying to debug why my endpoint has undefined somewhere. And it's like, oh, because I forgot to add an S, or I left off. I typed an L on accident instead of typing an I here. That's happened so many times that I'm just like tired of dynamically typed languages, and I'm just fully embracing statically typed languages. Just because for every 30 minutes that you waste doing stuff like that, that's 30 minutes that you could have spent actually like working on something important. But yeah, you don't have to learn TypeScript, but I will say that it does help. I'm not sure if I think right now TRPC is TypeScript specific. Let me zoom in a little bit. Could you try what the FPS crowd does in stream to TikTok? I'm going to take baby steps, right? This is my first time streaming to both YouTube and Twitch. And right now there's like one person on Twitch viewing, which is probably me viewing my own channel. So I'm going to slow down on like doing too much at once because I'll get overwhelmed with all the different social media platforms. And plus, I don't think Twitch is a place people, or TikTok is a place people really want to go to like learn how to code. Let's see. Alia Kerak. I don't know if I pronounced her name right, but just created my first REST API using Express and currently working on React UI to interact with the API. Thoughts on what? Currently working on React UI to interact with the API. Yeah, I don't know what you want my thoughts on. Like you're making an app? I think that's cool. Is there a better way to handle CSS where column data has commas with? I'm not sure what that means. SvelteKit, yeah, I think Svelte's good. I would learn it, honestly. I think it's fun. If you want to get a job, though, I'd probably learn React. Someone's asking, do you think TRPC provides something useful for existing APIs, or all its utility lies in building full stack apps? I think the benefit is if you're writing already like a backend API that's in TypeScript, like you're using Express with TypeScript, then that's when the benefit would probably appear. Because if you're using TypeScript in the front end, but then like Go in the back end, I don't think you're going to get the benefits of TRPC. The whole point of the T on TRPC is TypeScript. This T stands for TypeScript. So if you're not using TypeScript on your whole stack, maybe stick with REST. But again, I'm not a pro. App Directory sucks. Yeah, that's why I mean, I'm going to let other people figure out if App Directory is good or not, and then Next can decide like where to take it from there and get it out of beta when it's actually like production ready. But for now on, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. Oh yeah, let's see. Link to the Twitch stream. I don't even know how to get there, web dev Cody. There's my Twitch stream. You guys can go give me a thumbs up or something. Maybe if people see that more people are watching on Twitch, they'll watch on Twitch. How's my day? It's pretty good. Spent a lot of the day painting a room. Sour Lemon says, nah, bro, I see a lot of people coding on TikTok live streams. Okay, well, maybe I'll put that on my back burner of things to investigate. If you think there's a lot of people coding, then maybe I should also stream on there, just get more people watching as well. Yeah, posting my little YouTube shorts on TikTok I think would be good. I Congratulations on the new channel name. Thank you. I've been kind of thinking about changing it for a while, and I decided just to do it, and I was kind of hoping it wouldn't affect my current channel at all. You never know with changing stuff with YouTube. It's like, is changing my name gonna like make my growth slow down or something? That's just because you don't promote your Twitch channel. I asked twice about your channel name, but you ignore me. LOL. I'd much rather watch you on Twitch. Yeah, okay, sorry. I posted the link here. Apologize for skipping you saying that. Have you ever had killer bugs that you ended up solving in any of your apps? Killer bugs? Like in regards to TRPC or something? Yusuf says, do you think about starting an open source project with your viewers? I am currently working on a game with some people in my Discord. I don't really want to work with. Here's the issue. I'll tell you the truth. I've tried starting projects with people on my Discord, and everyone gets hyped up for the first day, and then the second day, everyone's gone. Like they don't want to put in the work. So until you've proven to me that you actually like are motivated on building stuff, and like I see your name around in my Discord a lot, that's really the only time I'm be willing to bring you on to contribute to anything open source. Because it's a lot of work chasing people around and be like, yo, you grabbed this story 2 weeks ago, where's the work on it? And then they're like, oh, I decided not to work on this project anymore. And you're like, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know about that. But yeah, I mean, if you join my Discord and you have the same name and I see that you're active and you want to contribute to something, maybe I'll start something with some more people. Which will ultimately conflict with YouTube anyway. I guess explain what you mean, beginner programmer, how Twitch would conflict with it. Are you saying that would be issues like legally streaming to both? Anyway, let me go back to the code. Kind of been engaging with the comments. Okay, so we want to store this email somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to... Actually, before I do that, we also want to do some type of like... to do email validation. We want to make sure people are actually typing in real emails. And then for here to do red email alerts / validation. If I get around to this, I mean, most people do the validation last. But for now, we're going to go to Amazon, and I'm going to create a DynamoDB table. Now, the reason I'm choosing Dynamo for this is because it's literally a key value store. Like, Dynamo is good for key value stores. It's like infinitely growing database. You can put whatever you want in it. And for what we're building, a newsletter, what is the key? It's probably the email. Hold on a second. Now I'm doing ClickOps right now on Amazon. Like professionally, you would use something like Terraform or AWS, what's it called? CDK, Cloud Development Kit or something, where basically you write the code, you run a command, and it basically spins up all your Amazon resources. But for right now, I usually start with ClickOps just to kind of get the resources created, understand like what things I want to set up on these resources. So in our case, we're going to say web dev od hyphen or underscore newsletter. Just a place to store all the actual like emails that people submit. And then for the partition key and the sort key, I'm just going to put PK and SK. I like to make it generic just so that you can put whatever you want here. You don't really have to know Dynamo. I mean, if you're curious about knowing Dynamo. So read capacity, write capacity. Provisioned on demand. So I'm going to do on demand because I believe if I do provisioned, they might actually charge me for having like some things sitting around. But the problem with on demand is that if someone decides to write a script and write a bunch of stuff to my database, it's going to cost me some money. Anyway, let's just do on demand. I'm not going to worry about encryption. Oops. Let's go ahead and just create that and see what happens. Okay. So while that's creating, let's go back to our code here, and I'm going to install the AWS SDK. So this is how you can actually like hook up your API to talk with Amazon things. In our case, we're talking to Dynamo, so we need to bring in the SDK to talk to Dynamo. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head how do you actually do this. So I'm going to go AWS SDK, JavaScript, Dynamo, and just look for some examples. Oh, actually, I have people on Twitch right now. Let me scroll back up and address some of the chat. I mean, this restream thing kind of stinks. Like, I'm not sure why I'm not getting chat in a centralized place. I have to figure out a better solution for that if I'm going to stream on 2 platforms. But what's up, people on my Twitch? Someone says I should stream in the software and game development. Give me a second. Let me try to go ahead and manage that. I don't even know how to change my Twitch stuff, to be honest. Do I go to home? No. Stream manager. Oh, edit stream info. Okay. Category. There's one called software and game development. Ah, okay. I'll go ahead and change that. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm a complete noob with Twitch. I literally have like used it once before. And I'm trying to figure out their dashboard, like the stream manager dashboard. Like I just clicked and hid my chat somehow. So now I'm trying to figure out where my chat went. Let me show you all. Hopefully there's nothing here I'm not supposed to be showing. So my chat's gone. I don't even know how to bring it back. This is you guys watching like a legit boomer try to understand how to do some stuff. Filters, activity, like where do I get the chat? Manage requests. Maybe if I just like restart this, it'll bring it back for me. My YouTube people are probably like, wow, we don't care about Twitch. This stuff do. Y'all ever like sign up for something new, like a new web service or something, and you're just so confused and lost because like there's just so many different things you can do? That's how I feel like when I look at Twitch stuff. And why can I not get the chat back? Why is this so hard to get chat? You know what, whatever. We'll figure it out next time. So going back to Amazon, let's look at some examples. So let's bring in Dynamo. I'm gonna go here. I love how their examples have var in it. And we are using TypeScript. So let's just go ahead and make sure that we import. Okay, so bring in Dynamo. I might need to actually install the types too. Let's see, npm install save at types. AWS SDK. Probably save dev it. All right, so do we get some like autocomplete here? Now there's also something called DynamoDB client, the document client, which just makes dealing with Dynamo so much easier because it's very, very obtuse to like write and query things from Dynamo, and the client helps. I'm gonna try doing this and see if we can get this going. Okay. So I want to be able to, write something. So there's a put request here. If I zoom in a little bit, it's pretty small. you can put items into your table by doing this type of request. I'll do the client.put, and you specify the name of your table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just delete this stuff and make sure I group that up. I don't know if I want to do the client inside of the router itself or just outside. I don't know if it makes a difference. We're also going to have to probably set up like an AWS access key, which I'll probably have to do off the stream. But let's just go ahead and get, so I'll say client.put, and you need to pass it some things here. So let's just go ahead and pass some data. And the table needs to match the table name that you decide to pick in Amazon. So in our case, probably going to be this one. Let's go ahead and copy this name, put it here. And then for item, you can actually put whatever you want here. So in our case, we're going to put like email, and that's going to be input.email. The rest we can just delete. Now you could also say .promise, and that'll actually give you back a promise if you want to do async await, which I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And at this point, we should be good. So I think we need to return something here potentially. I don't know what we should return. Just say message success. I don't really know. So let's try doing this. This should fail. And the reason this is going to fail is because we haven't created an access key. So let's just go ahead and, first of all, try doing the submit. So I'm going to go back to this one, click submit. The backend should have not written that. Your PC failed on subscription, subscribe, missing region and config. All right, so that's what I expected. Now the region and config thing, that's kind of not what I expected. I think typically when you're dealing with Amazon, you might actually have to say like region. I'm just going to hard code the US East one right now, but you can actually have that come from environment variables. So you can have like multi-region setup. But again, we're going to keep this simple. So if I do it again, it should crash, but it should say there's no like secure secrets. Yeah, missing credentials. Cool. Let me go back to chat real quick. I don't think I've checked on the YouTube chat in a while. Yeah, I mean, the lives automatically publish to YouTube. I'm not going to like delete them or something. Twitch and YouTube don't tend to take kindly to creators being partnered on both channels. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I Google this stuff before I screw up and like get my something disabled because I'm trying to be partners on both. I mean, you can not accept the partnership on Twitch, right? That's always an option. What's up, Luda? I'm just building something, honestly, just something to make content about. I'm trying to get like a newsletter site set up. Are you a senior developer? I would consider myself a senior developer, and I'm not going to talk about the company I work for. I am the CEO of Apple, exactly. And I spend my off time making streams on YouTube. Yeah, Dynamo is kind of confusing, but you get used to it. How are you? Asking for a friend. I'm good. Think about doing some Matplotlib tutorials. Any tips for gear? I would at least try to get like a good mic. Probably the most important thing that you can do when you're making a YouTube channel is get a nice mic and also get some type of sound treatment for your room. Like put up some type of, let me show you what I have over here. See this? This is a comforter that has Paw Patrol on it. That is hanging over there to absorb some of the sound of when I'm talking. Okay, I also have some acoustic like foam that's behind my computer, which also absorbs some of the sound. So those are the two important things. As far as gear, I don't know. I have a really cheap like 99 MXL. Is that what it's called? This is the mic I had. I got on Amazon for like 80 bucks or something. The issue with this mic though is you have to have a interface. So like you have to have another thing that's like $100, and then you have to buy like a special cord to plug the mic into the interface, plug the interface into your computer. But I just think condenser mics sound a lot better than other type of microphones. A lot of people like to use dynamic microphones, which are good for like the type of podcast feel. But I think condensers just sound crisp. As far as camera, I'm using my iPhone connected to my laptop, and I'm recording through OBS. So I don't think you have to like invest in a really nice camera to be able to make streams or tutorials. If you have like an iPhone, I would just use that, honestly. If you just view your live on Twitch like a normal view, oh, okay. Now I'm getting down to that. Give me a second. Someone says, I don't know if you are reading Twitch chat, but you can set software dev category for stream. Okay, I did that. There's no issue with streaming on both platforms. We could go onto your own stream and use the pop-out chat. Give me a second. Let's see if I can figure out how to pop out the chat. Chat only and pop it out. Sounds simple, but it's not for me. Chat settings. Pop out chat. I found it. Hold up. I found it. I'm telling you, sometimes using interfaces is much harder than coding itself. So we got Twitch chat over here too. Delete that. I've been streaming for almost an hour now. Well, for all you who are watching on Twitch, do what the Twitch people say. Like my stream, or follow me, whatever it's called. Let's go back over here and let's see if there's anything else. Use clean architecture pattern on your side projects. I don't really do any type of like enterprise level patterns for my side projects, mainly because a lot of the stuff I'm teaching are for like more beginners. And I don't want to like overwhelm them with all these different like patterns that, like dependency injection, you start throwing that in your tutorials and people are going to be very confused as to why you're doing it, and they're going to say you're over engineering all your stuff. There's good reasons for using dependency injection and version of control, but for a beginner, I think it's just way over their heads. Same with like testing. Like I wish I was doing more testing. In fact, maybe I'll start doing that in more of my videos. But there's some people who don't believe in testing. Sorry, my voice just like cracked right there. There's some people who don't believe in testing. There's some people who do. Where I work, we try to test everything. We try to get tons of integration tests, unit tests, a little bit of an end-to-end test as well. But yeah, I just went on a side tangent there. Could you explain your promise syntax there? So this is specific to the AWS SDK. So it's a lot of the libraries that you use in Amazon were built using callbacks. So like this was originally like you have to say error in data. But they added like the ability to say .promise to basically wrap the callback in a promise, and you can await on it. If you don't do this await .promise thing, this will not do what you want it to do. In fact, it might just throw an error because you're waiting on, well, it won't throw an error, but you won't get any data back. So this is more useful when you're doing a query like this, because if you don't do the .promise here, you'll just get back some garbage. Like this is not going to be useful. So make sure you do the .promise when you're working with the AWS SDK. So what are we trying to do? I got so caught up on like checking chat and Twitch and all this other stuff. We're trying to allow my laptop to write into this Dynamo table. but we don't have any credentials set up. So you're going to watch me do that live and hopefully not leak any credentials. Let's go here. I'm going to go to ACM. I'm sorry, I'm going to go to, what's it called? Wow, IAM. I already forgot it. I'm going to go here. We're going to create a new user. That's probably something else. And we're going to call this web dev Cody newsletter. That's going to be our user. And we are going to go ahead and create I'm going to create a policy. And what we want to do is we're going to make a username and password, or not a username, it's an AWS secret access key and ID that you can use to give your scripts access to different resources. So in our case, what I want to do is I want to give this thing access to write, I'm going to say put item to my table. And that's the only thing I'm going to give access to right now. I'll come back later and give it like query access. But for right now, I want it to only be able to hit the Agent USD1 with the table name of Web Dev Junkie Newsletter. So when I create this policy, I should be able to attach it. I'll just call it that. It's very important to kind of scope your policies, because if you don't do this and you leak your keys and you give like a user admin privileges, someone can grab your keys and just basically spin up the largest EC2 instances and rack up $2,000 within like an hour or less. So you want to make sure that if you're playing with Amazon Web Services, kind of make sure you know what you're doing, especially when it comes to permission. So I'm going to attach that policy to my user here. Go ahead and create that user. Make sure it's all good. And when you do that, I can go to security credentials, and I think I can just go ahead and create some access keys. Now, I don't know what's going to happen if it's going to show this to you all. I'm just going to say command line. Now, there's a lot of other ways you can do security. And I'm not a security expert, but we are going to use it locally for my machine. But I think there's different ways to do it if you're like actually trying to run this on an EC2 instance. Do I need a tag? It says optional, create access key. All right, so I have the access key and I have a secret key here. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy the access key, and we're going to go into my .env file. I guess we don't have one yet. Oh, there is one here. Okay. So this one's called what? This is called the access key, AWS access key ID. AWS secret access key. And is there a way I can paste this without you all just seeing it? I'm going to try this. Let's see if this will work. Oh, you guys might have seen it, but I think it's fine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to restart our server. I could have just pulled it off to another monitor and done that, but I'm lazy. Go ahead and save this, and let's see if we can actually submit this. So going back to, let me close some stuff. I'm getting lost. I'll just say test and click submit. Let's see what happens. Either the key conditions or key condition expression parameter must be specified. So I think I'm missing something. Oh, you got to specify the PK and the SK. Okay, so those are like the main important things when you're dealing with Dynamo entries. You have to supply your key / your composite key, or else it doesn't know where to store it. So I'm going to go ahead and just put the same thing. Is that what it's complaining about though? Oh, I need to make this put. I changed up the query to kind of explain something. Yeah, you still need the PK and the SK. And typically what I do is I put them, like I might say like, I might do this. This is just a convention that we have been using. It's not like the right or the wrong way to do it. But what this allows us to do is when you get a bunch of different types of data, you kind of put a prefix on your data so you know what you're looking at. And then you also can put the actual data here. Seems kind of weird, but it basically, that's what I'm going to do. So let's just go ahead and click test, subscribe, and let's see what happens. So if I go back to Dynamo and go to my table, go to Dynamo over here. Let's go to our tables, go to the newsletter, go to explore the table. There it is. I don't know if you guys can see it because it's off the screen. It's down there at the bottom. Let's click it. So now we can actually see that data that we just stored from the front end. Was that fun? Did you all have fun learning something about Dynamo and Amazon that you guys probably never seen before? Go back to chat. Yep, it's the Paw Patrol professional setup. That's why my mic sounds as good as it does. It's because I got that Paw Patrol comforter hanging to my right. And that actually used to be my green screen. I was doing my green screen on my channel for a while, but then I decided I'd rather just not worry about that because depending on the time of the day and like how much light's coming through the window, you have to go and you have to modify your green screen settings, and it's just extra work. And what I'm trying to do is just reduce the amount of work that I have to do to just record videos. That's why I'm trying to like, that's kind of why I'm able to like produce content every day. It's just like I'm trying to reduce the amount of work. So a lot of it's just live coding, sit down for 20 minutes, record something, get it out there. We're not using NodeMailer. I'm going to use Amazon SES. I don't know how far along I'll get in this video. I've been going on for an hour so far. What is your VS Code theme? I'm using something called Bearded. So if you go to the extensions and type in Bearded, Bearded, there it is. These two. So I'm doing the blue theme right now. I'm just trying to change it up. Before I was using the Material UI theme, which I like a lot as well. But I wanted to check out that theme. Well, it looks pretty good. Yeah, writing tests, like, it's definitely important to understand how to write tests and how to explain like the difference between the different tests, especially if during an interview you're able to talk about that stuff with confidence. It just kind of puts you ahead of a lot of people because a lot of people don't even teach testing on content like in YouTube. A lot of these people just like we're working on side projects, and for me to sit down and actually write tests, like I feel like I'm working on a job, which I don't want to spend my free time working on, like feeling like I'm working on a job. But in the real world, you're going to have to write tests and you want to make sure your stuff is production ready. Everyone close your eyes when Cody copies these secrets. Yeah. I think I hid them well enough, hopefully. Caching is a big bonus, not a requirement. Welcome. Hello, new to the channel. I come to see web application website video. I'm new in JavaScript and HTML. Best luck, boss. Thank you. Welcome to the channel. Ivan Pavlov. What is the VS Code theme? I probably should write that in the description. Question every minute. Here's the issue. Like, I have in my video descriptions all the themes I had, and people still ask me all the time, like, what extensions I use. So it's just one of those things where it's like, no matter where you put it, and I'm not trying to call you out because I think in this video I don't have it in the description. So you are right. I should probably add it to my description of my streams. But even on my other videos, like people ask me like, dude, how do you get those errors that show up on your page? Like when you type wrong errors. It's in my description. In fact, I'm missing that. So let's just add Errorlens in real quick. There we go. Now I get a bunch of red stuff everywhere. I'm sure there's other extensions I'm missing. You know, I am. There's one called like Rainbow, a color indent or something. It's actually built in the VS Code, I believe. I forget what it's called though. You know, it's not that important to figure out. What's up, Noah Raskin? How's it going? $2,000 charge incoming. I'm not even kidding. When I was playing around with Amazon for the first time, I made a user. I gave him admin privileges, and I committed those keys to my public repo. And I would say within 30 minutes, I had a bill already rung up to about 2,000 something dollars. Amazon caught it and turned off my account, and they kind of null and voided that charge. But there's companies that have actually gone out of business because they've leaked out their Amazon key. And usually the thing Amazon's going to do is like, well, you should have protected your keys instead of letting our servers be used by bots. Let's see. Can't watch now as I'm working. First time I've managed to see you live. Just wanted to say big fan and keep up the awesome work. Thanks, Rick. Glad you're able to catch me live for a little bit. Have fun at work. Bit confusing, but interesting nonetheless. Yep. I kind of zoomed through that. I didn't really explain what I was doing, but Electronic Dawn. I might have to check that out. I just spent 10 hours yesterday writing tests for my side project, and I'm not sure if the time investment was worth it, but it did feel good. So addicting to see those green ticks. Yeah, it definitely depends on the type of tests. I think for more of a side project, I think at least getting integration tests that verify like your UI can talk to your backend and your backend can store the data and you can retrieve the data from the correct tables and whatnot. I think those tests are really useful. The unit tests are, I would say they're still super important to write, but they're a lot easier to like write incorrectly and make really brittle tests or write tests that don't actually verify the things you should be verifying. So it takes more training, I think, to be good at writing unit tests. Let's see. Bejan Ilya. I just started making coding tutorials on YouTube. Do you have any advice for me? I mean, other than quality, so make sure your audio's good, make sure your video's good. Obviously, the content and the education style needs to be good. Honestly, I would say just keep on making videos until you get into the flow of it. It takes you a lot of videos and making a lot of content before you feel confident in like even speaking in front of a camera. Not alone even teaching, just speaking in front of a camera and acting normal. For me, that took me a long time. And then finding a good flow of like, okay, how do you want to teach? Because you have to get used to like looking at code and keeping in the back of your mind that someone watching your video may not know what this is. So you have to explain this. But then also like you don't want to dive into all the details of everything. You have to assume that someone knows what a promise is and they know what async await is. So you have to like get used to skipping over the things that you think people watching your content will know, but then also explain the stuff that you think they are going to be unfamiliar with. So that just takes practice, honestly. I'm still trying to learn how to do that because sometimes I skip around really quick and I don't really explain stuff. But people say that I'm still helping them out. So what do you think about Rust to Tari? I've never used Rust or Tari before, so I don't know. But I guess check it out and come back to me and tell me how it is. Bracket pair colorization. There it is. Thank you. Bracket pair. The bracket guys are. Is this it? Yep, that's it. That's the one I wanted. Thank you so much, beginner programmer. I doubt you're even a beginner too. You're probably a pro. Colby Berger, been building a web and mobile app for my university project. I'll use Prisma, and now I have two back-end versions. One in Apollo Server GraphQL, another Prisma with Postgres and REST. Fun. Yeah, it's always good to just try out different tech and see like what works better. Like one of the benefits of GraphQL. I haven't even had a chance to work professionally with GraphQL or even on side projects. I kind of been wanting to try it out, but it's one of those things where I just never gotten around to it. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I'm glad my videos have helped you out. Do you think you could recreate something like Restream? I I don't know. I mean, I probably could. And it's one of those things where it's like it'd probably take months and months to do. Is T3 worth it? Wish I had some water. Let's see. Is T3 worth it? I mean, I think it has to be asked in like individual questions. Is Tailwind worth it? Is Next worth it? Is TRPC worth it? And all those I have different opinions on. TRPC, which is like what you're seeing with this router stuff, I personally like a lot, especially for my side projects. I feel like I'm super productive and I can move fast using it. Tailwind, I'm still on the fence about, honestly. It feels dirty using. That's just my opinion. But I'm trying to force myself to stick with it long enough to give it a solid, like, understanding and to make sure I'm doing it proper. But it just feels super hacky. Sorry to offend anyone out there who might get offended by that. It just feels hacky. Using normal CSS with classes feels a lot cleaner to me, in my opinion. And you can abstract some of this stuff away by using components. But then you end up building like components for all your styling abstractions, which feels dirty as well. Like Daisy UI feels kind of nice because like stuff's abstracted away into classes. And you can abstract stuff away here by defining classes. And I can like do applies here. That I like a lot. I also like the built-in, like, you know, you can do MD, you can do dark mode. Those are nice as well. I don't even know what they're called. Pseudo selectors or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to get used to Tailwind. But for T3, TypeScript, definitely I think TypeScript is beneficial. Prisma, I think, is great. And Next Auth, it's good to be able to quickly get some social media logins going. I haven't tried it with like legit, we're going to store our own username and passwords in a database. I haven't tried it with that, so I can't really tell you how I like it with that. Overall, I think the T3 stack's pretty good though. For a side project or like a startup company or something, I think the T3 stack is a good stack to like hit the ground running. If you already know React and you know TypeScript and you just want to be able to quickly set up like an API and have it deal with data and stuff. Your videos might actually land me a remote React developer job in the next few days. Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. I hope you do get that job. It means a lot to me knowing that people are actually like learning and getting jobs by watching my content, because sometimes I just wing it. I just start recording and start talking. But I think as long as you're learning one thing from my videos every time you watch my videos, I think it's good. Swap Neil says, nice content, Cody. Super educational. Appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. Is it worth learning Node.js, worth learning before getting into React? I think so. I use Node.js at work. We use Express for our API. So I don't think there's an issue with using it. In fact, I think Node's good because like you don't have to jump between different languages. You can stick with JavaScript and use that on the back end, and then also use your JavaScript on the front end, so that as a beginner, you're not jumping around trying to learn different syntaxes. Because even me, as someone who's been coding for almost like 10 years now, I've been trying to learn Go, and I'm used to using TypeScript, and I jump over to Go, and I'm like typing stuff incorrectly all the time because the way that you define types in Go is like swapped with TypeScript. So even for someone who knows what they're doing, knock on wood, I kind of for the most part know what I'm doing. It's just confusing. So if you can stick to one stack or one language as a beginner, I think it's really beneficial. You don't tell them. Yeah, they're opt-in too, so you don't have to. So if you're using a T3 stack to create a project, you don't have to use Tailwind. You don't have to use NextAuth or Prisma. At the beginning of this stream, I think you might have saw me kind of check what things I want to include when I set up my project. You can optionally pick those. I have not tried making a streaming platform using DRM tech. Inline fold. You know what? I actually will try that. I've been inline fold. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It just hides away a lot of the noise, so it makes it a little bit cleaner. Nice. Someone got an internship by watching my videos. I'm glad to hear that, y'all. Thank you so much for the coming back to me and telling me that. It means a lot to me. Let me check Twitch. I mean, I haven't really been looking at Twitch chat. Guess I can close out of that. Yeah, AWS. There's so much to learn at AWS. Like, it could be a full-time job just being like an AWS expert. There's an extension for .env variables for streamers. It's called Cloak. Okay, let's check that out. Hides your environment variables. How does that work? Open an .env file. Press F1 to open the command palette. Type cloak. Choose cloak hide secrets. Okay, it hides your secrets. Pretty cool. Might check that out. I think, does it do it by default? Probably a good thing to have anyway. Well, I have another monitor, so I think the best way is just move, like, open the .env file in another monitor so that no one can see. How it be, how it do. Okay. You can't expect people to read. That's asking too much. GraphQL works really, really well if you're combining tech. But if you're running a fully TypeScript stack, tRPC is the way to go. I could see that. Switching from AI to web dev. What's wrong with AI? AI sounds like it'd be really fun. My opinion, I don't know. But web dev, yeah, I mean, I would just stick to like, I'm going to be biased because I use React. So I'd say learn React, learn TypeScript. Honestly, just start with the T3 stack, honestly, but that's just my opinion. I would, again, like I said, like write your backend in Node, use TypeScript so that you can just stick with one language. I'll add one more feature to this before I wrap this up. My voice is starting to go. We want to be able to unsubscribe. Now, how do we achieve that? How do we achieve that? How do you unsubscribe a newsletter? Like, I'd have to have an endpoint that's like API unsubscribe. Probably have some type of key. Like, technically, I could say like slash some key here. But then you don't want anyone to just unsubscribe from your newsletter. So when we create this thing, and you all can tell me a better way to do this, like when we create this entry in Dynamo, what if we put a uniquely created hard to guess UID or random ID so that if someone ever wants to unsubscribe, well, actually, technically, they just have to type in their email, right? Is that how it works? Like, if I wanted to go to GitHub and GitHub News, is there like a news for GitHub? Is there an unsubscribe? How does that work with emails? I know typically when you send out the email, they have like an unsubscribe thing at the bottom of the email. But is there a way to unsubscribe from mailing lists, like on their actual site? Is it safe enough to just have an endpoint that allows them to type in their email to unsubscribe? Or would someone potentially like just start unsubscribing random people from newsletters? That sounds kind of dangerous. But let's just do it that way because dangerous sounds fun, right? Let's go to subscription router. I want to make a new subscription called unsubscribe. Go ahead and copy all this. I'm going to say unsubscribe. We're going to take in an email and we're going to delete. I think it's called remove. Maybe it's called delete. But we do need the PK and the SK to be able to delete this. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete it from that, I believe. And we could say keys. There's a key. Here we go. So this will delete that subscription from the database. Simple as that. That's all we got to do. And now we have to be able to basically invoke this from an endpoint. Now that's the issue with tRPC, is that all these things are kind of abstracted away. There's no like API endpoints from it. So we could have a page that invokes this endpoint and then unsubscribes. Maybe we could do that. Let's just make one called unsubscribe. Because typically there's like checkboxes and it says like, oh, why do you want to unsubscribe and stuff like that. So maybe that's what we want to do. I'll make one called unsubscribe. And then I'm going to put email.tsx. And again, I never built like a subscription email thing, so I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully it ends up working well. But we want to unsubscribe that email. And the way we can do that is we can pull in that unsubscribe mutation. Remember in the back end, we just created a new mutation, right? So if I do dot, make sure I import that first, and I should be able to say dot unsubscribe. And oh, I need to say use mutation. That'll get back a method that we can call to basically unsubscribe this user. Now, what we could potentially do is we can invoke this the moment this page loads. For right now, we'll keep it simple. We'll just say use effect. Right when this page loads, we are going to call unsubscribe. Now, I did run into an issue before where like you have to do this because you want to put this in your dependency array. And we're going to go ahead and put the email here, which the email comes from the React query. So how do you get that? Well, I think we need to say email is equal to use router. Actually, what is it called? Is it routers or something else? Yeah, I think it's here. All right, let's just do that. So email should be defined. And we should probably just unsubscribe from it when this page loads. Let me make sure this actually works. I'll go ahead and print out email real quick. Why is this complaining? Because this thing could potentially be, so I'm going to say if there is no email, return. Probably want to pass that in here. Why is it still complaining? Oh, okay, so like, let me just do this. There we go. I know I'm going fast. I tend to go fast when I'm streaming and live coding just because like I'm building this for me and hopefully you guys can take something from it. When I make actual videos, I try to go a little slower and explain what I'm doing. But quick recap, we get that mutation. When the page loads, we have an effect to check if email or router changes. I'm sorry, if email changes or if the unsubscribe method changes, we can invoke it. Now I will bring in mutate async. So if you're using React query, there's a mutate async in case you want to await on something. So let's just call this one. And then when it's done, we're going to go ahead and just say like success here. And everything else is just like not important because we plan to just redirect. Like we could probably just say to do redirect after subscribing. Or display a success message. How about that? Let's try this out. Is this going to work? We are going to try to go to localhost 3000, unsubscribe, type in the email, see what happens. Unsubscribe test. Why did that not go? Unsubscribe. Did I call this wrong? Yeah, I spelled it wrong. Okay. Try it again. I'll click that and see what happens. So it hits the API and it says that the API is not authorized to call delete item. Now, this is something that we should probably not allow it to be leaked over to the UI, because now if an error happens, they will know that I'm using Dynamo, and it also leaks out my account ID. So this is a security concern that I will probably not address in this stream. But there's ways in TRPC to basically not allow these errors to just bubble over to the front end. But maybe because I'm in dev mode, it allows that. I need to go read the documentation. I'm not an expert at TRPC, but how do we fix this? Well, we need to go back to the policy. Remember, we created a policy here. We can go to that policy and we can find where we gave it access to Dynamo. And we can give it the ability to delete. So we could say edit policy. We could use the visual editor, but I'm gonna try to do it like this. I think it's called delete item. Let's try it. Let's just save it and see what happens. And now, if I were to refresh this page, it should hopefully delete that item. Not authorized to call delete item on resource. Did I not save it? What's going on? DynamoDB delete item. Sometimes you actually have to like let it refresh. I believe Amazon caches your policies for a little bit, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then like it should work at some point. Okay, there, it works fine. So now if I go back to my table and refresh this page, 0 items has been deleted. Now if I hit it again, it should crash, I would think. Well, I guess it's a... I think this request might be idempotent. It doesn't like crash if it already is gone. So what do we need to do in the front end? We should probably just say if this was successful, I'm gonna go ahead and just put like a status here. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in some state here. I'm gonna say const status, set status, and I'll say use state unsubscribing. Now this would probably be a lot better as just an API endpoint, but honestly I didn't want to go down that path. I'm just doing the easiest thing right now. Successfully unsubscribed. Unsubscribing, ... So what am I trying to do here? So when the page first loads, I want it to show like unsubscribing ... And you can see that it quickly flashes. If I were to slow down my network tab just a little bit, go to network and just throttle that thing down to fast 3G, click refresh. Okay, that's a lot of throttling going on. Okay, I think you guys get the point. It shows the message, and while it's doing something, like when it's successful, we'll get this back. So let's make sure. If I were to type in webdevcody@gmail.com, click subscribe, it doesn't do anything, right? So we should probably also make this redirect us to a new page when it's successfully subscribed. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a new page here called like success.tsx. Go ahead and copy that over and just go ahead and say like h1 successfully subscribed. Okay. And now we don't need any of this form information here. Don't need any of that. Cool. Subscribed. So anyway, what we're trying to do is when you actually subscribe, again, we're going to change this to mutate async so that we can await on it. Whoa, 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 what's going on? Let's go here, await on it. Make this async. And then we're going to say router.push, and we're going to go to success. So if you successfully subscribe, we're going to go ahead and just go to that. Let's try it again. Let's just go ahead and type web dev Cody, click subscribe, and it's successfully subscribed. And now I would have your email stored here that I could potentially do something with. I could loop through it using a Lambda, process it with SQS off the page, but you guys get the picture. So yeah, any questions at all? I'm gonna go back to chat now, and I might just commit what I have because we made some good progress. Getting this deployed out would be pretty fun at some point. I'm probably not gonna do that in this stream, but let's just go ahead and say like adding the ability for users to subscribe and unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. Add everything. Commit. Sure you're configured. Okay. I guess I forgot to do that. How do I configure that? I think it'll tell me if I actually try doing this. Git config global edit. Cody@gmail.com. I might have to do some amend thing. I think it's fine. Whatever. Did that actually commit? Let's go back, refresh the page. Did this commit my changes? It should say now. Okay, it's there. Make sure I didn't accidentally commit any type of secrets. Seems good. That's probably good for right now. Right. Can you tell me what VS Code extensions are a must and have also boosted your productivity? Joanne? Johan? Yeah, so Johan, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I think the things that have boosted my productivity the most would be learning the hotkeys of VS Code. I don't think the extensions have really made me that productive other than Error Lens I like, where it like highlight the entire line in red. That kind of helps me out a little bit. That's about it. I mean, like clicking on this and having it to be the bracketed highlighting kind of helps a little bit, but what helps more is just collapsing stuff, honestly. Like collapsing stuff is really what helps me more than this little like cute little bracket thing. I think that's about it, honestly. Like if you're using Tailwind, then yeah, using the Tailwind IntelliSense would help. Using TypeScript helps. And delete that. Delete that. Having a linter definitely helps out. And having some type of prettier and auto formatter definitely helps out. So make sure you have that stuff set up. Yeah. Cookies to pass their token in. To unsubscribe, they have a link in the mail at the bottom. Yeah, I think that's how typically it works. They have to go and check their email and click on an unsubscribe link. Which is that an issue, just having them use their email? Like someone could potentially maliciously go and like unsubscribe people from other people's newsletters if they knew their emails, but like I don't even know which any of your emails are, right? It'd be very hard for me to know what beginner programmer's email is. But it's probably more secure to actually have like a randomly generated ID stored in the database that they'd have to use to unsubscribe. If you're using SNS, they send the unsubscribe in the email template. Oh, really? That'd be cool. For SNS? I need to go and see if there's already an Amazon service for this. There probably is. I'm probably just reinventing the wheel, to be honest. I was planning to use AWS SES for sending out emails, but I think you might be able to send out emails with SNS as well. I think usually SNS is for like 2 phones, right? My experience is that AI is fun in R&D, but then it gets reduced to working on getting data, clean, train, evaluate, repeat. Yeah, I could see how that could be kind of annoying, especially when it takes like a long time to train neural networks and stuff and train these, what is it called, like an SVM? Just to train it for a long time and to realize that your data was bad. You have to redo that stuff to try to increase your accuracy. Thank you, Sour Lemons. By the way, anyone watching, you can join my my Discord if you want to find a community of like developers and coders to hang out with. Send the link. Probably not in the description of this video, but any of my other videos, it should be there. What is the advantage of using AWS DynamoDB as opposed to other databases such as Postgres? So Amazon DynamoDB is a key value store. So if you have data that is just key value and not relational and not some type of like document, it's really good to use Dynamo to just store huge amounts of data, such as like invoices, right? Like let's say you go and you order some food off of Grubhub, they give you an invoice number. Storing something that has like a single primary key or secondary key or some type of composite key, you can throw into Dynamo and it just kind of infinitely scales up. You don't have to worry about the scaling at all. But for the most part, if you're building a project, I would probably just start with Postgres 99% of the time. Because for this little unsubscription app, like it works great. But if I start adding like this need to query Dynamo based on certain criteria, like who subscribed to my newsletter on Tuesday, that's when Dynamo starts falling apart. It does not allow you to quickly get the data out based on queries. And typically you have to use like other services like AWS Glue to migrate your data into like an S3 bucket and then not Glue, I'm sorry, Athena. I think it's called Athena, where basically you take all your data in Dynamo, you put it to an S3 bucket, then you use Athena to query over all your old data. So if you ever need like real query uses, I would probably never use Dynamo. But there might be someone who's much better at Dynamo and can understand like the real use cases of it, who could explain that. You are not so good at styling. Yep, I'm not a designer. Which is why I try to just find some pre-existing libraries like Daisy UI or MainTime or something like that. Yeah, I probably need to use keys, so I might in the next stream or something just do keys with this. SNS can be used to notify topics, many destinations, pub sub model. SES fits sending and receiving mass mails like subscription transaction mails. Yeah, so I think I'm planning to use SES because I want to, let's say I have 200 people that are signed up for my newsletter and I want to update them all that, hey, I released a video about TRPC on my channel. Here's the link, go check it out. I plan to have like some type of service, hopefully built into this new newsletter like management thing, where I can go and just send out an email to everybody. So very similar to MailChimp or something, but just rolling my own because why not? It'd be fun to do. It's probably cheaper too, because like MailChimp and all these other services charge you like $10, $11 a month for like, I think it's like 200 or 500 people max in your mailing list. Why didn't you want to use MongoDB? I just wanted to change it up. Honestly, like I don't know what else to say. Like you could use potentially any database for what I'm doing. But DynamoDB is super cheap. Like I don't have to pay any type of operational costs. I don't have to pay some monthly fee. I'm only charged for what I use. And for right now, the amount of traffic and data I'm putting into Dynamo is so small that I'm probably going to be charged a penny per month or less. So that's the main reason I'm using Dynamo. It's super cheap and they don't charge much for using it. Are you the owner of Spawning Tool app? No, I'm not. But I was trying to build a spawning, what's it called? A build order tool for StarCraft 2. But I'm not the owner of that tool. Yeah, Athena query language, it looks very similar to like SQL, but it has like some weird caveats to it. how much HTML do you need to know to start learning React? I mean, you need to understand like the nesting of HTML, probably some of the main properties like HTML4 class name. I mean, these are like Reactified, JSXified properties. The real property is called class, not class name. What am I doing? Class name. But yeah, I mean, there's like, you got to know how like the nesting works and how the nesting will affect how it loads up on the page, and then probably start memorizing some of the most common ones like form, H1 through H6, paragraph tags, canvas, buttons, main section, ULs, LIs. But you can learn that in maybe like a week or so to learn like all the most important ones. Making entities in Prisma is not a good experience. I could see your concern if you end up getting a lot of entities, but I mean, you could just Command F and find the tables and entities you want, right? Even if you have a file that's like 1,000 lines long, if you know you're looking for a particular entity, just Command F and type it in. So I don't know if that's a good argument of like you have to put everything into a single file, because you literally can find anything within like 2 seconds by Command F-ing it. But maybe there's another argument against that. Yeah, let me go back to Twitch. No one's really chatting on Twitch. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream. Again, feel free to join my Discord if you wanted to talk to me directly, or just find a place to talk to some other devs. And like always, be sure to remember to like my videos if you are a subscriber, and press the bell icon if you want to get notifications when I publish new things in the future on YouTube. Hope I helped you out in some way today with this stream. Hope you guys have some good luck with whatever you're trying to learn in your coding endeavors, or if you're trying to find a job. I hope you guys land that job or do good in your interviews, and I wish you all a good week coming up ahead. Have a good day.